Okay, let's look at the review. Test on trig tomorrow. So first of all, in question number 1, it says, given triangle PIG, find the value of each trig ratio. So I just want the fraction. The word ratio means fraction. So I did the sine, cosine, and tangent of P. I know from P, that's my opposite, that's my adjacent, and that'd be my hypotenuse. So sine of P is just going to be 8 over 17. Cosine of P is just going to be 15 over 17, and tangent of P is just going to be 8 over 15. But then if I change to the other angle, which puts me at G, it changes my opposite of my adjacent, and I would do that and put my opposite here and my adjacent here, and then I would have the sine of G is 15 over 17, cosine of G is 8 over 17, and tangent of G is 15 over 8. Okay. So all I want is just the ratios or the fractions. Okay, number 2, find all the missing angles and sides. So first of all, I thought easiest one to find is angle A is 40 degrees because those two add up to 90. And then to find side T, I did that. That's opposite over hypotenuse. So I use sine of 50 is equal to T over 12, multiplied by 12 on both sides, and use my calculator. I got about 9.2. By side A is that side. I needed to find cosine, so because I wanted adjacent over hypotenuse, A over 12, multiply both sides by 12, and I used my calculator and got about 7.7. All right, and number 3, I need to find an angle, so I found angle N first, opposite over adjacent is tangent, but I need the angle, so I found the tangent inverse of the opposite of the adjacent. Use my calculator, I got about 16.7 degrees. To get the other angle, angle B, I subtracted from 90 because these two angles have to add up to 90. 90 minus 16.7 gives me a 73.3. Okay, and then I just used Pythagoras theorem. I mean, you could use sine, cosine, or tangent, but I just used Pythagoras theorem with 3 squared plus 10 squared equals little e squared, and I took the square root of that, and I got about 10.44. Okay, number 4, that is a special right triangle. 8 squared to 2. Number 5, that's a special right triangle also. That's 20. That would be 10, and that would be 10 squared to 3. 18 is different, or 6 is different because right where the 18 is supposed to be some x squared to 3, and it's not. So I solve for x, I divide by the square root of 3, divide by the square root of 3, and 18 divided by the square root of 3 is 6 squared to 3, which is going to be the value of x. Okay, on the next page, I graphed it. Put my points in at 4, 3, negative 2, 3, and negative 2, 5, and made a right triangle. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I counted 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then to find angle R, I just did opposite, adjacent. I did tangent, but I needed the angle, so it's tangent inverse. Opposite over adjacent, I used my calculator. I did the tan inverse of 8 over 6, and I got about 53.1. Okay, to find this length, I just used Pythagoras theorem. So I went a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I got 100. Square root of 100 was 10, so RT is 10. 8, I wanted to, I got an 18-foot ladder. Here's my 18-foot ladder. And it leans against a 12-foot wall. I need to find the angle. So I know that's my opposite, and that's my hypotenuse. I used my sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. I did the sine inverse because I went for the angle. And I went sine inverse of 12 over 18, and I got the angle of about 41.8 degrees. Okay, 9, I've got a shadow of a tree here, height of the tree, and I get a 54-degree angle here. So opposite adjacent is just tangent, so I did tangent 54 equals opposite over adjacent. I multiplied both sides by 18. I used my calculator. I got about 24.77 feet. Okay. On the back side, well, my back side, wheelchair ramp. Now, first thing I have to do is feet. Everything's got to be terms of inches. So the first thing I did, 4 feet, 48 inches. I made sure I did that. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine, and so I'm looking for the angle. I want the inverse of that, so sine inverse of my 4 over 48. I used my calculator, and I got about 4.8 degree angle. Number 11, angle of depression is there, 8 degrees. I know that the Airplane's 8,000 feet in the air. So I want to find out how far it is from the airport. So I did my opposite over hypotenuse. I used sine of theta, or sine of 8 degrees, is equal to my opposite, which is my 8,000, over my x, which is my hypotenuse, what I want to find. I multiplied by x, and then I divided by sine of 8, and I used my calculator. 8,000 divided by sine of 8, and I got about 57,482. You don't have to do that. That answer is fine. I just wanted to know how many miles. So I divided by 5,280. I got about 10.9 miles from the airport. Okay. All right. Now, the last problem. I took my isosceles triangle and I broke it in half. Okay. And so then that becomes a 34-degree angle. That's still 10. I want the base, so I used opposite over hypotenuse. So I went sine of 34, sine of the angle, is equal to the base over the hypotenuse. Multiplied both sides by 10 and used my calculus. So that's right there is 5.6. I want the base of the whole triangle, so I doubled that. So I get the base of the whole triangle to be about 11.2, okay? Now if I want the height, I use cosine because adjacent over hypotenuse. All right, and so then I did the cosine of 34 is equal to my adjacent, which is my height of my triangle, over 10, which is my hypotenuse. Multiplied by 10, I got about 8.3. So finally, if I need the area, every triangle is 1/2 base times height, and so the base of this triangle here we said was 11.2. The height was 8.3. I used my calculator, and I got about a 46.5. Okay, that's all I have. Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully you take good notes and you do well.